this past week, it was announced that Roger Penske's race team will be making a big change at the end of this season. After a decade of Dodge, they are going back to Ford. For more on that, let's go to Matt Clark.
Hey, thanks, JR. The big news here in the garage is Penske's decision to move manufacturers from Dodge to Ford. Dodge's contract was up at the end of the year, so they decided that they wanted to go to Ford, and they made that decision. I spoke with executives at Dodge in Detroit, and they are fully committed to the program here at Dodge and Penske. But moving forward, they feel like they had to go ahead and make a decision that they wanted to go and find out what is in store for them in 2013. They want to be in the garage. I also spoke with A.J. Allmendinger. He is excited about having Ford on board. However, remember, he has been in a whirlwind since signing with Penske, so he can't get his feet on the ground and maybe till Martinsville or the break, but he's excited to be there. The big issue and the big question is, will Dodge be in the garage in 2013? JR?
Good question, because that will be answered hopefully not before too long, because they will be unveiling that new race car very shortly. And if you look over the course of the history of Penske, no matter what manufacturer he's with, Larry, he wins. But why this decision and why now?
Well, I think the bottom line, we could talk about a lot of different things, and there's probably a lot of reasons. But at the end of the day, if you make a move like this, it has to do with money. But I also believe this, that a few years ago, when Penske truly became the only team in the Dodge camp, it looked pretty good, because you know what? We don't have to share information with anyone. But I think as time has evolved, even though if you go back last year, they won 5 races. They put both drivers in the chase. I think they've come to realization that there are strength in numbers. If you get in trouble and you're the only team on the Dodge Island, who do you go to, Kenny? I mean, it can be good news, it can be bad news.
You know, I went to Forbes.com at the end of last year, and it showed Roger Penske is the 391st wealthiest man in the United States at $1.2 billion. Here's my point. Roger Penske is a businessman. Now remember, racing is his love. He has over hundreds of dealerships throughout the United States. I'm sure this fits in with his business model, Kyle Petty.
Well, here's the, that's of course the big question, what are they going to do, why are they doing that, but also the biggest question is, what about Dodge? What about the future of them, Kyle?
Yeah, and I think that's the shaky part of the whole deal. If we look at it, Roush Yates builds the Ford engines. You've got EGR and Hendrick that build the Chevy engines. You got TDR, or what is it? TRD, sorry, right there. That build the Toyota engines. It's the engine manufacturing piece of this. If Penske closes his door, who builds the Dodge engines? And I know that the manufacturers are an important part of this sport, but they are not the sponsors. They don't spend $20, $30 million on team after team after team. For somebody, for a Dodge to come into this sport or stay in this sport, they're going to have to set up an engine program or set up someone with an engine program, and that's big, big money. So the Dodge engine is the issue more than where everybody's going.
But we know ultimately what Roger Penske is chasing. He has been fielding entries in NASCAR since 1972, full-time since 1991. He's won the Daytona 500. He's won all these races, but there still is a hole in his trophy case. No NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Ultimately, we know Roger Penske. It's about business, but he wants to win a championship in Sprint Cup.
Yeah, there's no question, Larry, that he is a winner. Let's take a look at his wins by manufacturer since he went full-time in 1991. 13 with the Pontiac brand, 27 with the Ford, just one more than Dodge. So over the last decade, 26 victories with that Dodge. So a lot of questions still about the future of Dodge, but now we know what these drivers for Roger Penske will be driving next season.